Welcome to the Superconscious Success Podcast, where Jen and her Superconscious Success family co-hosts bring you valuable content each and every week on topics relating to manifestation, spirituality, and most of all, using your superconscious to manifest success in all areas of your life. Now on to today's episode.
Hey there, Superconscious Success fam. Just before we get into the interview, this is just a brief message. This is actually a recording of the 2021 Superconscious Success Summit interviews. If you do want to check out the introductory for all of the guests, then you can go across to our Superconscious Success YouTube channel where you'll be able to find all the introductions. These particular podcast interviews will be the interview only. Okay, thank you. Now let's get on to the interview. Hey there, Superconscious Success fam. Welcome back to another amazing interview on the Superconscious Success Super Summit. In this interview, we are going to be talking to an amazing woman called Margaret Loftus. If you have not yet listened to her personal story, you must go across to YouTube and check that out, because she will go into how she actually became involved in the Enneagram. I got it right that time. And in this interview, we're going to be going through what an Enneagram is and why it can play an important role in discovering your purpose, how it can help you to raise your level of consciousness, what the 9 personality styles are, how they can help with leadership, emotional intelligence, communication skills, and so much more. I am a beginner on this myself, but Margaret I'm going to be learning right alongside you. So I'm really, really excited about this. So, hey, Margaret, how are you today?
Oh, hello, Jen. I'm well, thank you. I'm just to say that I'm actually on holiday, so that's why I'm outside. And the wind.
Fantastic. No better place to be when you're on holidays is out in nature, huh? And you're in your backyard?
Yeah, I'm up on a veranda at the house I'm staying at, yeah.
Nice. And you got family around you and all sorts at the moment.
Yes,
so.
I have kids working from home, as in young adults, job work because of COVID. But yeah, I have. That's why I'm out on the veranda.
Fantastic. Okay, so today we're actually going to be talking about the Enneagram, and you've got some really important information to let us know about. You are actually going to be doing a workshop in the VIP day. So if people haven't yet signed up for that, that's on the final day of this summit. And it allows you there's going to be 6 workshops that are going to be done on that day. And the Enneagram is one, so that we can start to really delve into who our true self is, delve into those personality styles, because of course we can only cover so much in an interview. So a workshop's a lot more interaction, but it's an option if you want to delve deeper. And if you look at the introduction video at YouTube, then Margaret has actually got into some other options if you live within Melbourne that can help you learn a bit more too. So let's start off, Margaret, by just going into what is the Enneagram and how important is it when it comes to spirituality and also discovering your purpose?
Well, the Enneagram is an ancient wisdom system. Mm-hmm. They reckon it could be 2,000-3,000 years old. But it has incredible insight into what drives people, the way they think, feel and behave. It also helps us because it's nothing about spiritual bypassing, it's about actually doing the work.
Yeah.
It helps us recognise some of the patterns of behaviour that we've developed from a very young age, and we all do it. Mm-hmm. It's actually the ego defense system that we develop from a very young age that we need, and we will always need that part of us, but we have to understand how it drives us sometimes in ways that are not very helpful for us. Mm-hmm. So as a young child, we develop something that worked for us as a young child, but then as we get older and we keep repeating these patterns, they no longer work for us, and that's where we start to develop all these defensive reactivity and things like that. So having a bit of insight into why you have what sort of things will trigger you and how you react from those triggers, once you have an awareness around it, it no longer needs to drive you. So it's not something you have to work really hard at. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of being aware of it.
Okay. So this actually starts from a very young age, when we're actually children and we have had belief systems that have been created. Does this have to do with the belief systems that we're talking about?
It starts before that. It's
Mm-hmm.
more, it's always the question, nature and nurture, made this way, are we born this way? I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think you certainly come out with a certain sort of temperament, and then it's how you respond to some of those very early childhood experiences that forms this personality side of us.
Okay. So when we use the Enneagram, how is it that it actually helps us to raise our consciousness?
Well, as we talked about before, the Enneagram shows us what this performing false self is.
Mm-hmm.
This defensive part of us that we've used, to get us where we are in life. And some of it can be positive, but if it becomes this unconscious driving motivation that we're not aware of, it then takes hold of us and it just runs our whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So what the Enneagram helps us is to see beyond the defenses into what is our true nature, what is the essence of us, what is it, who was I really born to be, and who am I essentially, my essential nature. And that hasn't got the defenses. It's that way of being in the world that is who we're meant to be. So the more we become aware of the other parts of us, the more we're starting to understand the gifts of our nature, and the things that are going to help us find out our place in the world. Really, what is it that we're really called to do in this life?
Yeah. Fantastic. So when we talk about the Enneagram, there are 9 different personality types. And so I would like us to go into what those personality types are. And as we were talking before, you were saying that sometimes it can take a very long time to figure out what your type is. And so what are some ways that we can begin to do that? So if we go into the 9 personality types, that would be fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, so it is something that takes time. So a lot of people get discouraged because they can't quite nut it at first. But that's often just a matter of understanding yourself. As you get to understand yourself a bit more, you start to what we call land. But don't try to type yourself too quickly. I've had people come to workshops that are so sure they've done a test online and they're so sure they're a certain type.
Yeah.
And then when you start to work with the system, they realise it's actually not them. And when they do eventually land, that it's all of a sudden this aha, of course, and then they start to blossom. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. People need not be too worried if they're not going to find their type. Funnily enough, I'll go through the types and you'll probably pick a lot of people in your life. Yeah. Oh, I know, that's my husband, that's my son. But when it comes to yourself, it's a bit harder.
Okay.
And let me say, people that do this work at a deep level say you really shouldn't be typing other people, because, as I said, this is not so much about what you see in someone's behaviour, it's what's driving the behaviour. So you might have 3 people all behaving in the same way, but why are they doing it? And they're coming from a different style. Okay, so I usually start with the Enneagram by saying we all have 3 centres of intelligence. We have the head, the heart and the gut. And that's and within each of those centres of intelligence, we have 3 Enneagram styles. So I'll start with the gut centre. Now, the gut centre is, interesting enough, the gut centre is run by anger. That's the driving force.
Okay.
We have 3 types in that centre that use anger in a different way. So we have what we call one type is called the powerful person. They're the type 8s. They're the people that experience anger immediately and they can express anger easily. So they actually use anger as a bit of a friend in a way, but they don't feel worried if they come out and express what they're thinking and feeling and can be angry. They like to take charge. They're strong. They can be the smallest person in the room, but their energy is large, so you just notice them. You know, they're these powerful people. Can be good leaders when they're healthy. When they're unhealthy, not so good. But their anger, as I said, is direct and out, and you know it.
Okay.
Then we have.
And so these particular people, when they direct this anger out, is that a way for them to release the energy, like, are these sort of people, do they get over it quickly afterwards, or is it like an outburst and then all of a sudden they're over it, or how does that work?
Well, that's a good question. It depends. I talk about the health levels of each type.
Yeah.
So when they're unhealthy, they can be very angry people. They're just angry people all the time, and and they sort of have anger. But when they're a bit more healthy and understand their anger, as we know, anger is a good emotion to have. It's just how we use it. Anger can be a good motivator.
Yeah.
I often say when people come to me that are quite depressed, often work with anger, because as we know, frozen anger can be a cause of depression. So anger has been demonised over the years, but all emotions are good. It's
and when you, sorry for interrupting, but when you work on the vibration scale and you look at the depression, anxiety, those emotions, and anger is actually a step up from that, because it's actually moving to a place where actually you're expressing it. So yes, I just wanted to point that out. If you have ever done any work with the vibration scale, you'll notice, as Margaret said, it can be a positive thing, but only if you use it healthily.
Well, also to pay attention to what it's saying. Anger is usually telling you that something's wrong. So, and I say to people, it's okay to feel the anger. It's just how you express it. That's where it can be wrong. So dealing with healthy anger or dealing healthily with anger is a very positive thing. And sometimes we need to be angry, actually, you know, and to think that we can't be is a problem. Yeah. So that's one type. And then we have the next type, the type 9s. They're called the peacemakers. And these are people that they also have anger, but you never see it.
Yeah.
They sit on their anger and they hate any form of conflict. They love to create harmony around them, and they've developed all these strategies to sort of bring harmony into their life. But what's interesting is that even though they're called a peacemaker, it's really about keeping peace for themselves.
Yeah.
Because say they're in charge of a team or even a parent in a family, if there's some conflict that needs to be resolved and they're avoiding that, they're actually not causing peace for other people. They're actually causing a lot of frustration in other people.
Yeah.
So part of the work for the 9 is to get in touch with their anger and feel it, and that can be motivation for action. They're also people that they use their anger passive aggressively. Yeah. So they can become very stubborn. Even though they're lovely, you might ask them to do something and they'll say yes, they'll do it, but they have no intention of doing it. But they don't want to say no.
They just don't want the conflict.
They don't want the conflict of saying no.
Okay.
So, yeah. But they're called the mediator as well, because their energy goes out to other people. They disperse their energy and they have a sense of what other people are thinking and know, and to the expense of what they really know about themselves. Yeah. So another bit of work for the type 9s is actually to find their own voice. They have it, they're just not in touch with it. So that's the 9s. And then we have the type 1s. These are called the good people or perfectionists. They also have anger.
Yeah.
But because the good person shouldn't be angry, they think, their anger is always just below the surface and it comes out as like an irritation. So they always feel like they could just explode any moment. And the thing about they're very critical and judgmental people, but they're judgmental of others because they're very hard on themselves. They set themselves very high standards. They're very, and they always have an idea of how things should be according to their worldview.
Yeah.
So they're okay. You're okay with them if you're fitting into what they think things should be. But if you're not, then you feel this criticism and anger sort of come out.
So do you find that, if you don't fit within their realms of expectations, because it comes down to expectations, doesn't it, with those sort of people? And if you don't, then that's when they'll start to explode, and that's when the anger will start to come out. And yet when someone does fit in the expectations, then they tend to be okay.
Well, there's a scale in here. Once again, it's to healthy and unhealthy.
Healthy and unhealthy, yeah.
Okay, so when someone is totally unaware of this, how they're driving, they will explode a bit more often. And the thing about the anger of the type 1 is it's very direct. It's like an arrow to the heart. They just know how to get you, and you feel, very critical. but as I say, you have to be compassionate with them because they're very hard on themselves too. And because they have this perfectionist nature, they're always putting a lot of expectation on themselves. And because they have such high expectations on themselves, they have a lot of high expectations on someone else. They're the sort of people, for instance, they won't reward themselves with a break until their task is done.
Yeah.
So they'll keep going.
They're perfectionists.
But they're also great to have on your team because if you give them a task to do, you know that they will do it and they'll do it well.
It's interesting because as you're going through this, like you said at the start, you start to picture people in your life that we see like this, and whether they do or not. But the interesting thing is, once somebody has recognised the Enneagram that they sort of like fit into, because do you find that they can actually fit into multiple Enneagrams?
We have all the types in us, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But only one will be your particular.
Will be dominant.
Yes.
Okay.
But we can access all the types, and we'll talk a bit maybe now. We haven't got the time, but there's a symbol to the Enneagram. There's a lot of lines and things in it, and that shows you that you have access when you're under stress. You'd actually go to a type and pick up some of the behaviours of that type. And when you're in a good relaxed state, you go in another direction. So part of the growth work is understanding what energies of other types you need to bring into yourself.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll keep going on with this because I'm sure we can learn a lot more about that in the actual workshop. So, so let's go.
We're over to the next slide, which is the heart centre. These are the heart centres. And these people are very much around image, and their motivation is sort of about connection and disconnection. So their emphasis is always on how can I stay connected, and but they do it in 3 different ways. So we have type 2, which is called the helper, and they're people that feel that to be loved and to get the affection and attention they need, they have to help people. And so they concentrate on meeting the needs of other people. Okay. But interestingly, not always, not necessarily everyone. They help people where they feel there's something in it for them.
Right. Okay. Yes.
At one level. So we talk about the passions but they also have a bit of pride around this. So they like to be seen as the helpful person, and they're lovely. And once again, their energy goes out to other people, and they seem to know the needs of other people almost before they do. Okay. But they don't pay attention to their own needs. These people can often be always helping other people, going out doing things for other people, and they burn out. They can burn out.
Yep.
So they're always thinking, how can I stay connected? Okay, if I help someone and help people, then I know they'll like me and I can stay connected to them. Okay. So that's type 2. I mean, I'm only, as you can understand, I'm doing a very brief overview to a very complex system.
Absolutely, yes.
We only have a limited amount of time. So then the next centre is the type 3, and they're called the successful person. Now, these people are heart-centred, but they actually bypass the heart. They actually are not in touch with their feelings, and instead they have the mask to the world, because to become successful, they need to be what they need to be to whoever's they're with. They're sometimes called the chameleon. Yes, because they can change their shape a bit depending on who they're with to impress people, so they can be seen as a successful person. And they often are successful. They just know how to become successful people, but the emphasis is always on I must be successful. And therefore, if I'm not successful, then I feel this disconnection. So they get their sense of themselves through being successful.
Okay.
And all the heart centers, if they feel disconnection, the emotion they experience is sadness.
Okay. Yeah. Is that when they tend to, like, you say sadness, so you're not talking about depression sadness, you just talk
go for that.
Yeah, it can go there. Okay.
Depending, yeah. So then we've got the type 4. Now these people are there's various names for them. They can be called the individualist, the special person, the romantic, and these are the artistic. One a lot of artistic people fall into this category, but not all. But not all people that need to be artistic to be in this type. But they're the people they experience a great range of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So they are the people that can actually feel quite comfortable in melancholy. It's a place they know quite well. Like they can sit in that space for a couple of days, and it's from here they feel things very deeply, and this is where this sense that they feel a bit special comes from, because they have a sense that no one really understands life like I do. Excuse me.
No worries.
So, and then they can also experience great joy.
Yeah.
So they have this quite a vast experience of emotions. So, and also they like to be a little bit unique. You can often tell what people wear, what types they are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the fours, the fours are often a little bit quirky in their dress. Just something a little bit quirky.
Yeah.
To be a little bit different. They like to stand out a little bit. I can give you a funny example. In a workshop I had a couple of years ago, there was a young woman in the group, and I often go around at the end and ask them something about what they got from the workshop, and they said, well, I came in, and she said, I was really disappointed to find out that there were other fours here, because that meant I wasn't the only one.
I could see how they would think that.
They like to be a little bit unique. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So they're the heart centres.
Mm-hmm.
And now we go to the head centres. And the type 5, they're sometimes called the observer.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, the head centre, all the energy goes to that's where they go. The energy's in the head. And these people have at some stage understood that life's a bit hectic, when they're young. And so they learned to observe life. They found life was too much in the middle of it. So they stepped out of life, and they become this person that tends to observe a bit. They find big social gatherings. They don't like big social gatherings, even groups. They're quite a one-to-one. They like to absorb information and knowledge. Often pick people, I say to them, it feels like you've got a filing cabinet in your head. So if I ask you a question, out comes this bit of information, they put it back. You ask them, out comes another bit. They just sort of have
they just absorb so much, yeah.
And the thing that motivates all the head centres is fear.
Okay.
So fear and anxiety. So the fear is eased with the 5s, this type, if they have knowledge and understanding of things.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't know, they feel anxious. So they get the information they need, so that it eases their anxiety.
Okay.
Sometimes a little bit. One of the names they put around this type is stingy. I don't like that word so much. It's more that they retain.
Yeah.
They feel they're very self-sufficient. They don't need a lot of stuff or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And in this sort of retention can also be not only in their material things, but also in themselves as a personality. So they don't give a lot of themselves. They're close, intimate is probably the one, but most of the time people feel a little bit disconnected from them.
Okay.
So that's the type 5. Then we have the type 6, and it's interesting, the type 6 is an interesting one, because we have the phobic and the counterphobic in this. Now they're the centre of the head triad, so they're the most fearful of all the types.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they ease their anxiety is to be certain. So uncertainty is what drives their fear. So if they're not sure what's going to happen, they feel anxious.
Yeah.
So they're great. They like, one of the names we give to these people is the questioner.
Mm-hmm.
They're also called the loyal trooper. They are very loyal. They can be very loyal. So they're always wanting, and they're always thinking worst case scenario. They always find the worst case scenario of what can happen. So that's what makes them anxious. But the other thing, because of this, they learn to plan. So they're great planners.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, if they go on a holiday, they won't just pack the car and go. They'll think, okay, well, we might have a flat tire, so let's pack two spares. Okay. And we might just need a mobile phone. We'll also, in case we get out of range, we might need a satellite phone. So they take it for wet weather and hot weather. So if they feel everything's prepared for, then their anxiety can lessen. So So they're hyper vigilant about security and safety. Yeah. And so the counterphobic can feel the fear, but then they push right back against it and do quite dangerous things.
Okay.
And they can actually appear like that type 8, the powerful person, but they're not, because they're not driven by anger, they're driven by fear. So, but the same thing, it's this worst case scenario, but I'm not going to let that stop me doing things. I'm just going to do it. But they'll only do it once.
Yeah.
Skydive, but just once, so that they've proved themselves they can do it.
Okay. So when you say dangerous things, you're talking about skydiving, that sort of dangerous thing?
Yeah,
but you're talking about more behavioural things like drugs and alcohol and that sort of thing?
All types can sort of go there for different reasons. It's more this pushing back against the fear. They don't want to feel the anxiety.
Yeah.
So they push back against it and do things that are a little bit more
risky. Okay.
Then the normal, than the 6 would, than the phobic 6 would do.
Okay.
They're called the counterphobic. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. So then the last of is the type 7.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be called the adventurer or the epicure. They're the sort of people that are very upbeat about life, happy. They could be called the happy person. Sometimes they're nicknamed the Peter Pan of the Enneagram, because they have fear. They don't want to get in touch with it. So their life is always about, don't go to the pain. I don't want to feel the pain. I don't want to feel the fear. I'll just keep life up and happy.
Yeah.
And they can become, these sort of people that are upbeat all the time. They can become a bit annoying. they always want you to be happy. They don't like it when you're not happy.
Yeah.
But they're also, because their brains are so active, they're great creatives too. They've got, they jump from idea to idea to idea, and they can be very creative. They're a lot of fun to have around, can really help lighten life up. But they also want to contribute to the world. So even though people recognise this happy, upbeat side, there's also a part of them deeply wants to contribute something good for the world.
Okay.
Yeah, but the work of the 7 is to actually get in touch with this pain and anxiety that they have probably kept hidden most of their lives.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I often say to my children, I mean, especially my daughter, she's almost 17, and she's dealt with anxiety, as a lot of teenagers do. And I've said to her, look, you've got to feel your feelings, because I find that no matter what Enneagram you're talking about, there is some suppression of feelings that we're not getting in touch with. And by feeling it, then it's often a relief that allows you to become your true self. So that's why I find this really, really interesting. Now, if somebody was to they figure out what their Enneagram is, do the Enneagrams change as you go? You have different stages throughout life, right? Do the Enneagrams change as you go through life, or basically when you're born, have you got a specific Enneagram?
Well, I think I said that earlier, that we have a temperament we're born with, and then it's how we respond to life in those first few years of life that determines our personality. Because we're talking about personality here. What type? The Enneagram is your personality type, and it's how you view your lens, you view life through.
Yes.
So we say no. You're always that type, but you grow in maturity in your type.
Okay.
So you find, this is where the work's beautiful, because once you recognise the gifts of your type that are peculiar to your particular growth journey,
yes,
that's who you become. And so you don't try to become someone else. You learn to become the best of who you are.
Because every type has the beneficial and the not so beneficial aspects to it. Yes. And so by actually maturing in that particular type, you can really harness those beneficial aspects. So that's fantastic. Now, when we talk about spirituality and we talk about consciousness, those that are highly intuitive, would they be coming more from like the head space as opposed to like the heart space when it comes to the Enneagram?
No. All types No, because the gut center, for instance, highly intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the centers have a way of becoming conscious,
Yes.
and we talk about the three-legged stool, and part of the work of the Enneagram is 3 centers of intelligence have to be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you may be predominantly a head type, part of the work is to open up your heart and gut center.
Yes.
So, for instance, problem solving and all the rest of it, sometimes if you, like these arrows and lines that I will talk about in the course, it's very helpful to actually access. So, for instance, if you're a head type, your access may go to the heart center, and that's where you can find a different way of thinking and perceiving things. And the gut is another way of doing it. So, part of the work is to balance the 3 centers of intelligence. You will always be predominantly your type, but your 3 centers of intelligence will be becoming more developed. I'm sorry, I have a street sweep.
It's okay.
Yeah. So now and when it comes to this, you talk this sense of a higher consciousness. As we become more aware of the essence of who we are, then that's where the consciousness, the greatness lies. So
Absolutely.
as we become less and less driven by some of the unconscious motivations, then the more conscious we are going to become of who we really are, and these amazing gifts of our type.
Absolutely.
And the holy truths and the holy whatevers, it's a very beautiful, empowering system. When it's worked.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's not something, I mean, I've looked into it a little bit, and as you were going through all those different types, I'm going, okay, what type am I? Like but obviously it's something that you've got to really delve into, because you see aspects of yourself in so many of them.
You do.
And
I think I said to you earlier that a lot of people will go online. Are you still there? I've lost you.
Yeah, I'm here.
You'll see me. Something's happened to my computer. I don't know what's
happened.
I
can still see you.
Okay. So I'm sorry. I don't know what. No, can't. I've lost you. There we go. Sorry.
It's okay.
Here we go. That people may go online and do a test, and look, tests are okay. I wouldn't say not to, but I never put a total amount of. I don't always believe that tests are going to give you your type.
Yeah.
Be an indication, but I think I've had people come to my workshops that have done an online test, and they've set themselves in cement over years of being a certain type, because they've read it a bit about it in the book, and they've done an online test. But then when they start to work with the system, they start to understand themselves better, and the test that they answered online really isn't who they really are. So I think it's important for people to understand, do a little bit, but you'll never really understand the Enneagram unless you start to engage with it in a much deeper level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there.
And being open to discovering your type over time. Some people may get it straight away, but others may take some time, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
You don't need to be in a rush with it. Developing and figuring out your true self takes a lifetime. It's a journey.
And also, even though we talk about just being 9 types, we've actually what we call the subtypes in that, and that's 27, and there's more little nuances to the system. So people will often say, "Oh, I don't want to be put in a box," but this work doesn't put you in a box. It actually helps you get out of your box.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's definitely something that I am actually going to delve into, is my Enneagram, because I think it's fascinating. And I think I might actually even go to the VIP workshop, because I think that'll be fascinating to get in and start to discover it. So if somebody was to want to start to work on their personality type, what would be the best first step?
Do a workshop with me.
Do the workshop. Go to the VIP workshop, people, as a start, and then Margaret's got other workshops that you can also attend that will help you to really delve deeper into this, because it's something that can't be described in a 45-minute interview. Yes. So, but I think that we have covered a lot today, Margaret. And I really do appreciate your you coming on the summit. and discussing this topic with us. So before we do finish up, I just wanted to ask you also, you work with companies as well, don't you?
Yes.
And so you find that the Enneagram actually helps with things like leadership and emotional intelligence and communication. So how would it differ when you're working with companies as to when you're working with individuals, in case any companies are interested in harnessing this?
Well, look, it's different. In some ways, it's not different, because what we're trying to do, if for leaders, for instance, what I work with leaders is not only do they learn to understand themselves, but they start to get insight into their other people's behaviour. And that's what this Enneagram system's about. You're not only learning about yourself, you're learning about the way other people view life. Because and no one's right or wrong. Often we think my way is the only way and you've got to do it my way.
Yeah.
But once you understand that people view life through different lenses, that are just as right as yours, leaders can start to get an understanding of perhaps the right places to put people in work situations, and they'll also understand how conflict can be resolved, because you understand where they're coming from. So, yeah, there's a whole lot of different ways I work depending on what people are interested in. But essentially, people do the introduction and learn about the system first. And then from that, we work in particular areas with management or teams or leaders.
Excellent. Fantastic. So before we go, is there anything else you wanted to add? And where can people find out a bit more about you?
Look, probably my website. You go onto my website, which is it's www.margaretloftus.com. Easy.
Fantastic. Easy to remember.
Yes.